A very good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for joining us about 1 p.m. here in Nairobi. This is Diaspora Dispatches. My name is Miriam Mugutu, and thank you so much for finding time to being with us this afternoon. And of course, today being a Monday, I do have so much in store for you because a lot of things have happened since we last had this news bulletin on Friday. And so let's just start with South Africa. And South Africa has started its second phase of COVID-19 vaccinations, targeting people who are aged 60 years and above. The country aims to inoculate 5 million citizens in that category by the end of June. It is also aiming to finish vaccinating the country's 1.2 million healthcare workers this week. Health Minister Zweli Mkhize said the country was due to receive 325,000 doses of Pfizer vaccine at midnight on Sunday. That was yesterday, making the total doses of Pfizer vaccine at 975,780. The health ministry said it was avoiding long queues in the second phase of the vaccine rollout by using an electronic vaccination data system where people would register online and receive instructions through a text message. Not yesterday, but the coming Sunday. I apologize for that. And then we go to Ethiopia. And Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has said that he will not allow the delayed general election to be used to fulfill the interests of external forces. A state-owned Ethiopian news agency has reported Mr. Abiy accused unnamed powerful countries of waging a campaign against Ethiopia. He added that Ethiopians have never fallen under any forces and will never fall. Ethiopia has come under pressure from the US and the European Union over alleged human rights abuses and the humanitarian crisis in the Tigrayan region, where federal forces ousted the rebellious former regional governing party Tigray's People's Liberation Front in November 2020. And then we head over to Congo, where the son of long-serving Congo-Brazzaville's President Denis Sassou Nguesso has been named minister in a new cabinet lineup. The new government, announced by Prime Minister Antole Colinet Makoso, has 36 members, including 4 ministers and 8 women. And the new appointments follow the president's re-election in March. The president has been in power since 1979, except for a 5-year period after losing elections in 1992. And then we go to South Sudan, where 12 civilians have been killed by members of a militia in the oil-rich Abyei region, the authorities in South Sudan have reported. In an official statement, South Sudan accused a neighboring Sudan of assisting the Miseria militia in the attack early on Sunday. The Sudanese government has not commented. The Abyei region has long been claimed by both countries and has seen frequent clashes between people from the Dinka ethnic group and Arab Miseria militia. Since 2011, a UN peacekeeping force has been based there. The UN recently said relations between two communities were tense and described the area as both volatile and unpredictable. And then we go to Sudan. And 7 members of Sudan military have been arrested and will be prosecuted in connection with the killing of 2 demonstrators in the capital Khartoum last week. The head of the Interim Sovereign Council running the country, General Abdel Fattah al-Burhan, ordered the investigation into Tuesday's deaths that happened outside the army's headquarters in Khartoum. But many people in Sudan are angry that there has still not been any justice for a far bigger atrocity that happened almost 2 years ago. Then, as protesters called for a return to civilian rule following the overthrow of President Omar al-Bashir, soldiers opened fire and at least 128 people died. Back then, the men who fired the weapons were from the much-feared Rapid Support Forces headed by Mohamed Hamdan Dagalo, who today is the deputy head of the military council, and the feared Rapid Sudan Support Forces, also known as the Janjaweed. Have you heard of the Janjaweed from Sudan? Those are them, and their leader right now is part of the government there in Sudan. So we head over to Zimbabwe. And Zimbabwe's Justice Minister has accused the judiciary of the overreach and said it has been captured by foreign forces in order to destabilize the country. It came after the High Court ruled that President Emerson Mnangagwa's extension of the Chief Justice's term by 5 years was illegal. In a strongly worded statement, the minister, Ziyambi, said they would appeal against the baseless and meaningless decision. This is a typical case of judicial outrage, and the government, we are not going to accept that. That is according according to the Minister of Legal Affairs there in Zimbabwe, Justice Minister. Okay, and so we go on to Ethiopia back to Ethiopia, and the head of Ethiopia's electoral board has said elections which were due to take place on the 5th of June will have to be postponed owing to logistical issues. The board has yet to formalize the decision or set a new date, but it is unlikely to be a delay of several weeks. Barry Kokan Mideksa said there were still challenges with voter registration, a training of electoral staff and ballot papers. The election was initially due to have taken place last year, but was postponed because of coronavirus. The vote will be a key test for Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, who is facing increasing criticism because of the 6-month conflict in northern Tigray region and rising ethnic tensions in other parts of the country. And then we go to the Democratic Republic of Congo, and 29 people have been sentenced to death in the Democratic Republic of Congo in connection with the Eid violence that erupted in the capital, Kinshasa. One police officer was killed and dozens of others were injured in clashes between rival Muslim groups. They had gathered to mark the end of fasting month of Ramadan, but fell out over who should lead the event. The death penalty is no longer applied in the DRC, and those found guilty will serve life sentences instead. The police had used tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse thousands of people who gathered outside the Martyrs Stadium in Kinshasa on Thursday for the Islamic holiday of Eid al-Fitr. The clashes were fueled by leadership dispute between two camps within the Muslim community. 41 people were arrested at the scene and were put on trial on Friday. The court session was broadcasted live on television and went on all night. And then we go to Somalia, and the African Union has hinted at sticking with former Ghanaian President John Mahama as special envoy to Somalia, even as simmering diplomatic tiff between Mogadishu and Nairobi seems to stall his deployment. These details emerged last week in frantic back-channeling by the continental body when leaders gathered in Kampala to attend the inauguration of President Yoweri Museveni's sixth term. Officially, the African Union says it is consulting members to determine the next step, but the continental body has also expressed concerns about Somalia's decision to defy a 55-members body decision to offer help, ironically initially requested by Somalia President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo. A spokesperson of the Democratic Republic of Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi, a chairman of the African Union, told the East African newspaper that member states will decide how Mr. Mahama can be involved. On these issues, the AU, I'm just quoting the statement, the AU presidency does not decide unilaterally. It consists of the Commission and the AU Peace and Security Council, as said Zenon Mukongo, the spokesperson of DRC's President Felix Tshisekedi, who is now the chairperson of African Union. And he also added that the president has postponed the meeting of the council, which was to be held Wednesday. The AU position will be known after this meeting. Now, the East African understands that the continental body is backing Mr. Mahama, as a change of position could imply Somalia's hand in who becomes mediator. In Kampala, President Farmajo met the AU chairperson, Faki Mohammed, and the matter of the envoy and the country's security challenges came up. Okay, and then still staying with matters related to Kenya, and Kenya has joined the United Nations Security Council in calling for diplomatic negotiations to achieve a solution to the escalating violence of Israel and Palestine. The country is the country in the latest call for both sides to lay down arms is warning that the reinsurgence of a violence between Israel and Palestine will make it harder for them to reach a two-state solution. In a statement delivered to the United Nations Security Council on Sunday evening, Dr. Martin Kimani, Kenya's permanent representative to the UN, warned violence was likely to produce generations angry with each other, making it difficult to address causes of the conflict. Dr. Kimani spoke during a virtual open debate session of the Council on the Middle East, with focus on the situation in Gaza, Tel Aviv, and Jerusalem. We head over to Egypt, and Egypt started dredging works for expanding the Suez Canal's southern section. Said in the statement that the project is a continuation of developing the waterway that began with the opening of the new Suez Canal in 2015, adding that dredging works will take place in several stages. And then we conclude with Tanzania. Tanzanian President Samia Suluhu on Saturday named Sylvester Anthony Mwakitalu as the country's new Director of Public Prosecutions. This was announced in her latest appointment, which also touched other key national installations. Mr. Mwakitalu replaces former DPP Biswajo Muganga, who was appointed as a High Court judge by the President earlier last week. In Saturday's appointment, Joseph Pande was named the new Deputy DPP, taking over the Edson Athanas Makalo, who is set to be given another assignment. Okay, so I will not take so much of your time this afternoon, but I'll just like to relook at this news from Somalia, because we know and we understand that Somalia had approached African Union and sought for their help after the stalemate. Remember the election stalemate that Somalia was going through. And then after President Farmajo decided to extend his term by 2 years, that was seen to have caused a lot of potential, problems. So he had to recant that position by going back and convincing Parliament to remove that vote, to revote again to not extend that. So anyway, so Somalia had approached the African Union for help and asked African Union to come and mediate in this stalemate between the federal government and those federal states, particularly Jubaland and Puntland. They've been having a lot of problem, and also Somaliland. And because they could not agree on the modalities of how these elections were to take place. So it became a stalemate, and Farmajo approached African Union and said, hey, we need your help. This thing is now out of hand and we cannot handle it as Somali, so we need for you to come in and help us solve this problem. And I think they went to the right place. That is the African Union, and African Union is the one which is supposed to be helping the member states in solving, problems like this. So I think Somalia did a good thing by approaching African Union and requesting for this help. So now here is where the problem is. When you go and ask for help, Somalia, you don't determine the terms and conditions which this help should come looking like or be packaged like, or you want help, I will get you help. So that is what African Union did, and they did that by appointing the former Ghanaian president, John Mahama, as a special envoy in Somalia to go and mediate on this issue in Somalia and try to bring peace, so that everybody can come to the table and they can have these conversations and just try to bring everybody to the table so that Somalis can agree and move forward and do what they need to do in terms of preparing for the elections, and also other things that the country needs to be working on so that they can be back on a path of finding a lasting solution for Somalia. Okay, so Somalia has been uncomfortable by the appointment of former president of Ghana, John Mahama. They're saying he could be a bit friendly to Kenya. This is the same country that, as Kenya and Somalia, the case at the ICJ, I think we're waiting for the ruling that is said to be happening in September. But the case took place. Kenya protested, refused to take place, to be part of that case. But, the case went on nevertheless. And so we're waiting for the ruling. And in that ruling, the judges, part of the judges that form the bench at the ICJ who are listening to this case, one of them is a Somalian. Is from Somalia. All right, and Kenya tried to protest that he be removed because of obviously conflict of interest, and Somalia refused. They did not understand why Kenya would have a problem with that. Now, John Mahama is not even a former Kenyan president. He is a former Ghanaian president. But Somalia is saying John Mahama seems to be a bit friendly to Nairobi, and so he cannot be trusted to go in there and solve these issues inside Somalia that has to do with Somalis, the leadership, they're disagreeing and having a problem. I don't know how Kenya has to come into this. And if anything, Somalia, Kenya is the chairperson of the Peace and Conflict Committee that decided on who to bring. So now, I don't know how you're going to win this. So perhaps if you don't want Kenya to be involved in any of this, then maybe, I guess you also have a problem right now of Kenya being the chair of the Peace and Security Council, that makes such decisions as to, okay, fine, we do have a problem. So how do we go about it? It is consisted of 15 members drawn from across Africa. And Kenya right now is the chair of this council in the African Union that was mandated to look for and to facilitate with this mediation that Somalia went looking for. And if you look for help, you cannot dictate the terms and condition. Somalia, you cannot do that. And so the AU Peace and Security Council they've decided, and they're saying this consensus members agreed on. It has nothing to do with Kenya and what Kenyan wants or whatever interest Somalia thinks Kenya has in the country. They're saying members decided on this. And after members decide and vote for it, and they decide, and then the decision was communicated through the chairperson of African Union, Felix Tshisekedi, the president of the Democratic Republic of Congo. So now it is ironical, Somalia, that you went looking for help and now you're being given help, and now you have to tell us how that help should come looking like. This is difficult. Do you want help or not? Do you want somebody that can help you mediate and find a solution to Somalia or not? Is John Mahama able to do that? The former president of Ghana, is he able to do that? And the fact that Kenya, because Somalia is perceiving John Mahama to be friendly to Kenya. Kenya is friendly with a lot of so many other countries. And listen, President Uhuru Kenyatta went and attended inauguration of Djiboutian President Guele. Remember, he was inaugurated. Was it on Saturday? And remember, this is the same country that had challenged Kenya's opposition after AU voted for Kenya to go represent the continent in the United Nations Security Council on permanent seat. Remember, Djibouti, even after AU voted to endorse Kenya for that position, Djibouti went and challenged that after Kenya won, I think, 2 or 3 times here. During the voting in the African Union, Djibouti went ahead and challenged Kenya's position there in the UN, and Kenya eventually was able to win in the second round of voting at the United Nations General Assembly. So now, President Uhuru Kenyatta went ahead and attended the inauguration of our Djiboutian President Guele. Because when it comes to diplomacy, it's not a personal thing. And President Uhuru Kenyatta had to do that because even after him, we will have other presidents that will come after him. And so, maintaining a good diplomatic rapport with different leaders, with different countries is very important. And President Uhuru Kenyatta went there in his capacity, not as Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta, but as the President of the Republic of Kenya. And it was important. Otherwise, he would have decided to be petty and say, you know what, there's no need for me to go there. But you have to look at the bigger picture. Okay, we might have a bit of a diplomatic tiff, we might have a bit of a problem, but at the end of the day, countries coming together, especially the unity of this continent, is very important. So there are things you overlook, you go. And President Uhuru Kenyatta was the bigger person. I don't know how many presidents will be able to do that in this continent, especially. He was the bigger person. He went and he attended because he understands, even by Djibouti, challenging that seat that Kenya was going for at that time. It was not personal, although when you look at the attacks that were being leveled against Kenya and the things that were mentioning as the reasons as to why Kenya should not be given this position, they were quite something. And but President Uhuru Kenyatta overlooked that and he attended the inauguration. So listen, Somalia, do you want help or not? And if you want help, then this is what AU has offered. You went there seeking for help, and now help you get. Okay, so this is what you have to work with. And so now, it's I don't know if the AU is going to change and give Somalia what they want and bring a different mediator, because now they're uncomfortable with the former Ghanaian presidents. I don't know how that's going to work out there for Somalia, but we will wait and see. And this is what the spokesperson of the African Union chairperson, President of Democratic Republic of Congo, this is what they said in a statement, that on these issues, the AU presidency does not decide unilaterally. Somalia, this is not something that Felix Tshisekedi sat down and decide. it is a consultation among member states. Do you understand? Okay, so it consults with the Commission and the AU Peace and a Council, Security Council, said Zenon Mukongo, that is the spokesperson for President Tshisekedi, who sits on President Tshisekedi's advisory's panel of experts on African matters. The president has postponed the meeting of the council, which was to be held on Wednesday. That was last week, and this week, and the AU position will be known after this meeting. So let's just wait and see. Now, the East African newspaper understands that the continental body is backing Mr. Mahama, as a change of position could imply Somalia's hand who becomes mediator. So what they're saying is, regardless of what you want, President Farmajo, this is still what AU wants. This is our stand, and they may not back down from this. We'll see after that meeting what will happen, but AU is saying we are not changing our position, because if you're coming to us, you cannot tell us how you're going to carry out our affairs, and if you're coming to be mediated upon, then you cannot decide on us who will be the mediator. After all, you're going to pick somebody which the other side might not agree on, so you have to leave AU to do its job, all right? And in Kampala, during last week's inauguration of President Museveni for his 6th term, apparently President Farmajo approached AU chairperson Musa Faki Mohammed and brought up this issue of the envoy security challenges. It came up, and so I don't know what Musa Mohammed told him that he would do. So the AU Peace and Security Council has already decided by general consensus to extend the mandate of the African Union mission in Somalia. I told you about that last week, granting them full legal status to continue providing security in the wake of fractured Somalia National Army. The final decision, however, rests with the United Nations Security Council, which has to decide on that decision that was made and forwarded to them by the African Union Peace and Security Council. Okay, I told you that last week, so I'll not go back to that story, but I just needed to underscore that. And so let's see how Somalia will receive that and how that will pan out, especially after that meeting that is expected to happen. Also in Ethiopia, the elections that were supposed to be happening on the 5th of June apparently have been postponed because of some logistical issues. And we know right now, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has so much on his plate, and the genocide that continues there in the Tigrayan region. And I don't know if the postponement of the elections, postponement of the elections last year also brought up some bit of a problem and brought, the tensions and the fightings that we've been seeing happen. So I don't know, by postponing these other elections that were supposed to be happening on the 5th of June, that will be next month, I don't know how that will affect but they're saying they're postponing it for just a couple of weeks so that they're able to get a hold of some logistical issues. So I just hope that is what there is to it, because you keep postponing these elections and now it's a problem. And the other thing, I think quickly, maybe a minute or two before I leave, and now South Sudan and Sudan are accusing each other of the fighting and the conflict that we've seen in the Abyei region, which even after separating, after South Sudan gaining its independence, this place has continued to be a bone of contention, being claimed by both countries because it's quite rich in oil, the Abyei region. And so now, 12 civilians have been killed by members of a militia in the oil-rich Abyei region. The authorities in South Sudan are reporting, and they're saying that these attackers are coming from the side of Sudan. So this also might jeopardize a bit of the peace there in this region. We need Sudan and South Sudan to continue working together for the better good of those two countries and for the better good of the region. If these two countries start going at loggerheads, that will create a lot of complications for the rest of us. So I hope this will not get out of control and they can amicably find a solution to this. As we speak right now, Sudan was the one that has been leading mediation efforts, for South Sudan. And South Sudan has been the one leading mediation efforts for Sudan between the government and other militant groups. They both have that. And South Sudan has done a really impeccable job in trying to restore peace in Sudan, which I've always wondered how ironical, while President Salva Kiir cannot even handle his own business back at home, but he's done a good job in mediating between Sudan and the rebels in Sudan. But at home, there's no charity. I don't know if he's heard about charity beginning at home. He's not done much, in the situation in South Sudan. And so they need each other a lot. So I hope this new spate of what is seen as an attack by the Arab Miseria militia and the Dinka ethnic group in that border, I'm hoping that it will not fuel a renewed clash that might get out of control. As I said, the security in that area is still quite sensitive, and so any renewed anything will not be very good for Sudan and also for the region. All right, so I think that's where I'll end my show this afternoon. And of course, Congo Brazzaville's President Denis Sassou Nguesso, you know him? Yeah, he has appointed one of his sons as his minister. Really nice. Yeah, that is how our leaders work in this continent. It's just family business, nothing else. I'll see you later on. Thank you for watching. My name is Miriam Ogut. Bye-bye for now.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.